Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and I've got another fun one for you this episode. I've got none other than the co-founder and guitarist for the band Tesla, Frank Hannon. He's got a great new solo album out called Reflections. It's a great instrumental, and it was written from a period of grieving and loss, and you can tell from every note that's played on every instrument of this album that that's exactly where these songs came from. And man, what an amazing album it is. I hope you will take my word for it and go ahead and buy it, order it, buy it. Don't just stream it, because we want to support our favorite musicians. We had a great chat though, and I learned some things. I mean, some things my research tells me what I'm going to hear, and I'm not totally surprised. But there was a couple surprises in this interview that I think you'll find very interesting, especially one of them, and that is what late great guitarist was his father-in-law. I'll just leave it at that. Watch the interview, listen to it, whichever platform you're catching this on, and you too might be surprised, just like I was. But man, what a great guy Frank is. I'm looking forward to interviewing him many more times in the years to come, because he's just that kind of guy. Again, I encourage you to go out wherever you buy your music, and I do mean buy, and go ahead and pre-order Frank Hannon's Reflections. While you're at it, would you go ahead and hit like and subscribe? I'm not going to charge you for either one of those, but it sure helps me out a lot, or Boomerocity actually. And please share it with your friends and ask them to do the same thing. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I hope are many, many more interviews to come with Tesla's Frank Hannon. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson. Take care. Hello, Frank.
Check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Do you prefer me to position this camera the other direction, like this?
Either way's fine. That probably would help on YouTube, but then the vertical's always good for when I do the shorts and such. So I can always crop it on the shorts.
You can crop it and chop it however you want there.
There you go.
So I'm just adjusting. Check 1, 2. I got this microphone. I'm going all pro, man. I've got this little iRig interface thing that makes all the difference in sound. It's crazy.
Really, I may have to look at it, because I'm just direct USB into my Mac, so.
Yeah, well, I'm blending some things with a little mixer over here, and I do have a guitar, and I was able to change my settings in Zoom, and maybe you can tell me really quick if this is I had an experience where Zoom was muting. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Muting the music. So I was doing some podcasts where I was talking and then playing the guitar, and it was being muted by Zoom. So I fixed that. Here, you can tell me if this is working.
Nope, I don't hear it.
You don't hear it.
No.
So it's muting my guitar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Well, gosh, I'll have to try to fix that while we're talking.
Okay.
Unless, we're just going to only talk. I'm going to quit talking and let you start getting down to business here, bud.
Well, I'm very laid back. I like the laid back approach. Everybody seems to like it. Fans do and all that. So we're just going to chat about this new album. But where are you clicking in from, first of all?
I'm up in Northern California, outside of Sacramento, between Lake Tahoe and San Francisco, like right in the heart of California up north.
Wow.
But taking Highway 50 up, going up into the mountains, and that's where I've pretty much grown up my entire life.
Very cool. My first year, I grew up in Phoenix, but my first year of college was in Fresno. Tiny little Bible college there up from Fresno State, but I'm in the, as the Beatles said, I'm in the Smoky Mountains way down south these days. So,
Oh, are you?
yeah.
Outside of Tennessee, or where at?
Oh, in Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee. I'm a couple miles up the road from Dollywood, of all places. So,
Ah, well, that sounds pretty there. I don't remember being there in a while. The closest I've been there is Nashville last year when I was mastering this record, and
Ah,
got some friends in Franklin and stuff. But you're a little further south,
east actually, more east.
east.
And
Okay.
so if you know where Knoxville is on the east side of the state, I'm an hour east-ish from there.
Okay. I think my wife and I drove through there when we were moving out here 20 years ago from North Carolina, and
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Yeah, you
we
would have been right
passed.
there.
Yeah, we passed through there. Yeah. So, well, Fresno. I've got some friends in Fresno. We used to go down there and play back in the '80s in our club days at the Blackstone. We stayed at the Blackstone Lodge many times, a little flea bag motel up of Blackstone. Um, but yeah, we're further north up in the foothills, and I don't know if you've seen my recent videos that I've made, but I did a song called
Hmm.
"Our Father's Love," and
Hmm.
it's up about 30 minutes from where I live, up in the High Sierra Mountains up there off of Peavine Ridge, and it's my favorite place on earth. I love it up there.
Yeah. I can relate here. I mean, I was born not too far from here, so I feel, right now I'm my dad's caregiver, and it's just me and him. And I when I get a chance, I like to just take off and find a road to see if I can get lost, and hope GPS can pick up on a tower or something and guide me back home.
Yes, there's nothing more relaxing than exploring some countryside that you've never been to, but it's in a beautiful country and you're on a little 2-lane road, just seeing things that you've never seen before. And well, bless your heart, that's an awesome, honorable job you're doing there, taking care of your dad. My wife and
Oh,
I just sort of experienced that the past 3 years out there in Florida, taking care of her dad.
oh,
We're
wow.
spending time with him. He wouldn't want me to say we were taking care of him. He'd kick my ass if he was still alive. Me saying that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was a
well,
rowdy guy there.
really, what part of Florida did he live in?
Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And he was the Ramblin' Man. He wrote Ramblin' Man for the Allman Brothers. I'm talking about Mr. Dickie Betts.
I
And
didn't. Wow. Okay. Small world
yeah,
there
he's a
then. Yeah,
tough, he's
yeah.
a tough old dog, man. And gosh, I miss him. I love him. And uh we spent 3 years out there off and on until he passed last year. And let
Yeah,
me tell
yeah.
you, what an experience taking care of someone at that final stage of their life. And so I was just giving you kudos for taking care of your dad, man, because it's an interesting phase in life for
It
sure.
is. I feel like I'm parenting my parent, but he's really pretty easy right now. He's 89, but
Wow.
fortunately, he just likes sitting in front of the TV and watching westerns all day. If he could watch The Lone Ranger 24/7, he'd be a very happy camper. So,
Wow. That's what a coincidence. That's what Dickie did too, man. You know,
really?
yeah, Tales of Wells Fargo, The
Oh yeah,
Virginian, all of them,
Bat
the True Grit.
Masterson. Yeah.
Yeah, Bat Masterson was his favorite.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to admit, some of those are my favorites too. I'm a Western fanatic. Bonanza, Gunsmoke, James
Yep.
Arness, the True Grit channel, RFD TV. Those are my wife's and my favorite channels, and was Dickie's too. And so your dad, yeah, he sounds old school, man. He's got the cowboy in his heart there,
Oh yeah.
huh?
I I think he kind of thinks like I mean he's both an adult and a child. I don't know how Alzheimer's pulls that off, but I'd say I'd call that a blissful state. But I
Yeah,
sometimes think he might think he's a little kid again in a theater watching the Saturday westerns at the old theater, and that kind of thing. But
sure, sure.
it was, and he'll reflect back. It's not like he thinks he's back there, but he'll reflect back a lot. And so, but I have to watch him, things like that. But I can, so far it's pretty easy. And am I ramping up my second year doing that with him? And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's an honor to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Did you, just curious, in the time you spent with Dickie there at the end, what was the most poignant thing you learned from being with him in those days?
Oh gosh. Well, to be tough and to not complain. I mean, the guy really never complained, despite breaking his hip, falling down, being in and out of the hospital. He would come home and we would just hang out and have dinner together, and he rarely complained. I think he realized that complaining wasn't going to do any good anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but a lot of stories on, not necessarily about guitar, but just he was such a real person. He didn't hold back on his feelings, but he didn't complain. But he would tell you what was on his mind, and he was very dynamic, creatively. In general, like one minute he'd be sitting there deep in thought, and I'd be thinking, okay, is this guy mad? What is he pissed at me or what? And then he'd turn over and look at me, and he'd grin with this big grin that would make me feel like $1,000,000. And despite it all, he would just not complain and just trudge forward. And one of the things he told me early on when I met him about the music business in general and being a guitar player in a band, or as a guitar player, as a solo artist or whatever, dealing with band members and dealing with the business and the ups and downs and the trends. And he told me, they survived disco era, all these different things. He just said, you just got to keep swinging and get back up. You get knocked down every couple of years, you're knocked down on the ground, and you just got to get back up and try again and put out a new record. Just keep on going. And, when I look at his career and I look at Tesla's career and my career as a solo artist and a member of Tesla and the ups and downs, the grunge era and all, it's the same thing. And one of the things Dickie said to me when we were going to a golf course one time and we were joking around, and he was like, man, can I cuss on this? Can I
Yeah.
you speak
It's
French?
fine.
He said, man, all bands and
French here in the
everything,
South.
it's all the fucking same. It's all the same shit. I don't care who you are. It's going to be it's all the fucking same. Meaning that in a band, you're going to have one guy that does all the work, one guy who doesn't do shit, one guy who complains, one guy who doesn't. Or you're going to have disco come in, or you're going to have grunge come in, or new wave. It's always going to be the same amount of ups and downs, but just keep on keeping on, keep on swinging. I think he was quoting Rocky Marciano or some boxer that said that back in the old days.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of old guy wisdom that he would say, and I would just listen and pick up on. And I just cherish those times, and that we sat on the couch and I would listen to him talk, and and like your dad, Bat Masterson and most of the characters you see in those old Western movies and flicks, they're usually characters that are the good guys, they're standing up for what's right in those shows, and it's kind of cool. And so I can see why those old guys like those shows, and because you just got to keep on swinging.
That's it. And those old guys help us slightly younger guys to remember those things. I'm concerned about the next couple of generations that don't take the time to get that, and all we can do is try to reflect it to them and the best we can, and pray for the rest, as best you can do.
Yeah. Try to set examples. Whenever I mentor younger kids that are in their 20s, and I know a lot of musicians and I've mentored some of these younger kids in my hometown, and first thing I do is put them to work out at the barn. Let me see how good you are at shoveling some horse shit before we even go into the studio. and it
like Karate Kids, wipe on, wipe off, right?
So you can tell which kids are willing to work and work hard and not afraid to get dirty, and so try to instill that work ethic into some of these younger kids. And one of them, this one kid that I was working with when he was a teenager, has such a good work ethic. He's now in Nashville. He got discovered by a label and he got picked up and he's actually on the road right now. His name is JT Lux. But it goes back to the barn with this kid. He would come here and he would shovel horse shit, feed the waterers, help me stack hay, never complained, always willing to work. And then he would come in the house and he would work on his music for hours. That's what it
Wow.
takes is hard work ethic.
Yep. 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 I
And
remember Joe English, the drummer. He was a drummer for Paul McCartney. He did some work with the Allman Brothers. He was with Sea Level. And he went into Christian music for quite a while. And I think I remember reading, I'm going by very old memory here. I think for a while he was even working at the barns down there in Macon with
yes,
the Allman Brothers and such. And it was, I think he said something to the effect, he goes, one day I'm with McCartney and the other day I'm shoveling horse hockey in the barn or something like that. I forget exactly how he put it, but it was, he's just talking about how, life just throws things at you and you gotta roll with it, and keep pushing forward.
yes, that's true. That's correct. And yeah, I think he got discovered by Paul McCartney down there in Macon at the Allman Brothers barn. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I know Joe.
So,
Joe's a sweetheart. He's married to Dale, and Dale is my wife's mom. And Dale
oh,
was married to Dickie back in the 60s, and they had Christy, my wife,
wow.
and Dale ended up marrying Joe English. So what a
I'll
coincidence,
be
man. We're
darned.
having this all this what
Well,
a small world.
yeah, I mean, honestly, back it was 1981. I was promoting, dabbling in promoting Christian concerts back then, and he had just come out with this Christian record. And I was living out in Phoenix at the time, and I promoted his first public Christian concert. Now he did a couple of showcases and such for the label.
Uh-huh.
Rainy Now Music label was the name of the label he was with. And about 2 weeks before the concert, well, a couple of things happened that was really odd. I get a call from the promoter that tied me with Joe, and he said, "Hey, Joe wants to know if it's okay that he has somebody open for him." I said, "Sure." Said, "Who's he wanting to have open for him?" He said, "Bonnie Bramlett." It was like, okay, very cool,
Yeah.
because she had
Yep.
just come out with an album, and as tragedy would have it, it was like a week or so, maybe a couple weeks after John Lennon was shot that the concert was taking place. And
Oh.
so it was, I mean, all sorts of weirdness was going on. I was getting calls, people wanting to give Joe gifts, and I'm being extra protective because you don't know how some people think, as far
Yeah.
as, because he was tied to a Beatle and all that kind of stuff. But it was a success and all that kind of thing. I just think it was so cool that he went that route. But I guess he went into the ministry and I was talking to Randall Bramlett a few months ago, and he said that Joe was retired from the ministry. I guess like working in an auto parts store or something is what Randall told me. But I don't know. You hear different things from different directions, but I just think the world of Joe and his music from back then, it was very solid stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Joe and Dale are doing very well. They're up in North Carolina, and they go to church up there, and they live in that community. And they're last time I remember the last job I heard Joe had, he was working doing granite counter tiles and stuff like that.
Oh,
But I
I'll be
believe he's
darned.
retired now. And Dale, she's doing great. She works at the hospital in the nursing administration, and yeah, such great people. And
Yeah.
Dale's always sharing Bible scriptures with me, and we're always talking about Jesus and how we share that common love. And
Hmm.
so, is this a Christian based podcast we're doing here? I didn't even
I'm
look.
I,
I just
I'm
pushed on the Zoom.
I'm just a Christian, horribly
Well,
flawed
same
one,
here.
but
Yeah.
my focus is on the entertainment interest of baby boomers. So
Okay.
that's and when John sent me the promo on your or on your single, and I saw an album was coming behind it, I shot John a note and said, "Hey man, I'd love to talk to Frank if he's game." So here we are. So
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, forgive my foul language there, but I had to keep it real as quote keeping the quotes real.
Hey, it is
Yeah.
what it is, and I roll right along with you there, man. So
Ma-
I love the sound of this song. First of all, I've only heard one or two of the cuts there. Tell me the story behind all this. I mean, I read some of the technical stuff of how you recorded it and all this stuff. It sounds incredibly interesting.
Well, thanks. It's very stripped down and very just real on a sense of when we evacuated from the hurricanes in Florida last year, my wife and I, after Dickie had passed, and it had been about 9 months, and the hurricane started coming last season, our property was flooded out. And my wife and I got pretty concerned that the horses there were going to be in trouble. So we packed them up and evacuated. And one of them had gotten sick from the grass in Florida, and we had to travel really slow. It took us a month to get across the country, and
Wow.
it was quite an ordeal. And we ended up losing that horse, and we had lost Dickie, and I had lost some other friends. And anyway, it was a year of loss and heartache, and I won't stay on that subject too long. But when we got home in December, we were just so exhausted. And I was like, honey, all I want to do, I don't want to do anything, but I just want to play guitar and relax. And she was like really supportive of me just focusing on guitar rather than all these million other things I had been trying to do. And in that process, I started receiving these ads for a company called Audigo, which they were boasting that it's a simple solution for recording music. And I was intrigued by that because I did not want to record. I wanted to just play guitar and not look at a computer, Pro Tools, or tape machines, or go into my studio or anything. I just wanted to set up right here in this bedroom and just play guitar and make some decent recordings for social media. So anyway, I bought this Audigo, and it's this little microphone right here.
Uh-huh.
That's the size of it.
Wow.
And it's a wireless microphone that transmits into my cell phone. And there's an app in the cell phone that has a little mixing window, and you can overdub with it. And so I thought, wow. And you can also make videos with it. So I started experimenting with this little Audigo thing, and the sound quality, it's stereo, and it records everything really well. I mean, I was impressed with the acoustic guitar, the electric guitar. I was putting this in front of a little amplifier. I mean, a little Fender amp that's about this big.
Hmm.
And as a songwriter, for me, it's really just basic, some how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling kind of sad, I'll strum an E minor chord, and I stumble on some basic chord changes, and then I'll play a guitar melody over it. And I was doing that and capturing it very easily with this system, this Audigo, on my cell phone. And then mixing it, it has echo and reverb and some very basic mixing things in the app. So I was bouncing them down and posting them on Instagram, and my comments were going off the hook. People were saying, wow, that sounds really good. People were giving me positive feedback on these moody guitar instrumentals that I was doing, very stripped down, but still sounding really good from that microphone. And I've always been a songwriter that's tends to be, like with Tesla, the songs that I contribute are the more moody kind of love song, what you give, just melancholy, kind of simple. I'm not the metal guy, I'm more of the
Right.
songwriter kind of guy for Tesla. And I've tried singing in the past, and I can sing kind of, but I play guitar as more of my comfort zone. So my wife was in the kitchen, which is right off of this room right here. And whenever I would play guitar and she would respond and come in here and listen and tell me, "Oh, I like what you're doing." Then I kind of got the feeling, well, maybe I'm on the right path here. I'm playing from my heart. I'm playing with some pain of the losses we had, and I'm writing these songs and the simple melodies that are reflecting how I'm feeling and capturing them very simply and purely with this little Audigo mic. Next thing I know, I've got like 12 of them, and they're all different and they're all really unique. And uh, my wife encouraged me to put them on a record. And so that's what I did. And that's basically it.
Wow. Would you
But
say that that was probably the most unique way you've ever put an album together?
absolutely from start to finish, because I wasn't planning on making an album. I was just recording how I was feeling with these chord changes and making a conscious effort to play my guitar as a voice instead of playing licks and trying to play tricks and licks and hammer-ons and all this kind of stuff that I was guilty of doing in the 80s. you
I
know,
lost you.
I made the conscious effort to play guitar.
Can't hear you.
Hello, check 1 2.
Nope. There you are. I just heard you
Hello.
then. I can hear you
Maybe this.
now.
I'm sorry.
That's
I was
okay.
making the conscious effort to play guitar as a voice and expressing my feeling in a moody way rather than playing licks and showing off and tricks and how many hammer-ons I can do, like the 80s stuff that, that all of us guitar players are guilty of doing. In the past, that's where in the 80s, that's what we were doing. But to answer your question, yeah, this was different all from the very beginning in a sense of how I approached it. And I wasn't intending on making a record. I was just recording music and playing the guitar as a voice to express notes in a way that was different than I had done before, staying away from trying to noodle and play too many tricks on the guitar. I got rid of all of that. No wah-wah pedals, no distortion pedals, just a Gretsch hollow body guitar that has a nice tone and a very simple thing that captured it with no preconceived intentions of making a record or anything, just kind of doing it as an emotional, a fun way to relax and recover. And I feel like I learned a lot about music and the importance of playing with emotion. And actually, like, there's times where I'll play a note on the guitar and then I won't play, and I'll just let it sit for a second to contemplate what I just played. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a different approach for me as a guitarist than in the past before. Usually, typically, most guitar players, when it comes to playing a guitar solo, it's okay, now it's your turn, go, and then jump in and fill it up with as many notes as you can, or licks or tricks or whatever. Whereas my approach with this album and this music was the opposite. It was like, okay, play something and then listen to it and then answer it and then take a second to pause and then listen and play it again. And really think and feel it before I play it. And that was, I feel like I'm going to be 59 years old, almost 60 years old this year. And that's what I love about guitar is you can continually discover something new about it and a new way to play it and approach it.
That makes sense. Well, as different as that album was to put together, what would you say? I mean, I would have to imagine you had more than your share of surprises. You've worked on a lot of records, but I would have to think with this approach and from the heart that you were writing from and recording with and a unique style, there had to be more than one or two surprises for you as you were putting this together, right?
Well, I was surprised in um, the fact that certain people were giving me positive feedback on it and saying, like, for example, the bass player in Tesla, he and I are brothers, and we've been brothers since 1980 when we got together, in high school. And we have a very strong relationship, but it's very competitive at times or whatever it may be. And he's brutally honest, and he's a fan of what he likes, and I'm a fan of what I like musically. But I was surprised when he came to me and said, "Wow, Frank, this is really different and this is really cool." He liked it. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Wow." Like kind of like the Life commercial. "Hey, Mikey, he likes it." Wow, they're surprised.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that some people were actually really feeling this music and liking it and responding to it. I had a writer from Vintage Guitar Magazine reach out to me and email me and contacted me because he had heard one of the songs. And that was a surprise. I was like, wow, this is the first time I've had a guitar publication actually contact me. Instead of me trying to pursue them, they contacted me because they heard it and liked it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was very pleasantly surprised that of some of the response I've been getting on this music of this album.
Well, I think as a fan, I'm not a musician or a songwriter. I'm a creative writer, but not a music writer, right? So as a fan, I can always tell when somebody's just mailing something in, right? And whether it's
Yeah.
a performance or a record. But you can also tell, as a fan, I can tell when somebody's playing from their heart. And
Yes.
whether it's the music by itself or the video that might accompany it or both, you can feel it. It's almost inexplicable because good music comes from the heart, and when there's talent that can articulate what's coming from the heart, then you've got the perfect storm, so to speak. And that is what I think resonates with fans or people hearing you for the first time.
Yeah.
And especially with our demographic, Frank, I mean, I had two people I knew last week who passed away, and I'm thinking, gosh, I'm about to turn 66. So I'm just a little older than you. But I'm thinking, the sobering thought was more now than ever, there's going to be more people passing,
Yeah.
and I hear more and more about it, friends, coworkers, family members, all that kind of stuff. And it leaves you a bit raw. And it sounds like that's where you were writing from during this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. Definitely. That's where I was writing from at a time of uh, coming back to our home here where we are. And after a 3-year whirlwind of one loss and one heartache after another. And yeah, I was writing from that space. And it's true, man. Like you're saying, at this stage of where we are in life, and you get a phone call. "Oh, did you hear about so and so?" And you're like, "Oh man, no," and it's just like you get hit with these things and these losses. And one of the songs on my new record, I think it's going to be the next single. It's called "This Is Goodbye," and the music of that, I was definitely feeling that feeling of loss and saying goodbye to someone. And sometimes we don't get to say goodbye. More often than not, we don't get to say goodbye to someone we love or someone we knew. And that particular song musically is expressing that feeling that I was having about that. So you're hitting the nail on the head. Yeah, that's exactly where it came from and where a lot of this is coming from. Yep.
Because I would imagine normally I ask people, all right, feedback you're getting because, friends and family, people in the business always hear ahead of time what the album, sounds like. In this particular case, though, because of where the heart you were writing from, your wife was hearing that too. She was experiencing that right along there with you. Other family members, how that were on that journey with you. What kind of feedback from them? Because they were feeling the same things from a little bit different perspective. How is this music hitting them if they got to hear it yet?
Um, well, there was a few people in my close circle that I trust and love that I was sending samples of these songs to. My cousin Mike being one of them. He when we started playing guitar, I was 10 and he was 12, and we started playing music together in the 70s as kids, and he and I are still really close. And I was sending it to him, and he was going, "Wow, I really like this," and he given me positive support. My wife, same thing. I was just getting a lot of positive support from the direction that I was going with this, because it was obviously a lot different than what I had done in the past. But they were feeling it, and the song I was just mentioning, "This Is Goodbye," when I either play the recorded version of it or if I'm practicing it, guaranteed my wife always comes in and tells me that song, it just reminds me of the night we lost my dad. And
Mm-hmm.
so the feeling of it, she can feel that still. And as an artist and as a creator with an instrument, with a guitar, to have tapped into that and stumbled on that is something that I'm like, I feel very grateful that I have discovered this ability. I mean, I've always written songs from my heart, but this album is definitely the most heartfelt record I've made, and I'm not sure what your question was. I started rambling. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay. No,
sorry about
you
that.
you you answered it. I haven't heard the whole album. I've heard I think two cuts from it. What so I can be watching for it and then make sure that I zero in and listen to it. Which song on the album would you point to as a calling card, whether it's to Frank Hannon fans or to Tesla fans? You say, hey, if you hear this song, if you like it, you're really going to love the rest of the record.
Well, the one that started it all off was the first song on the record. It's called "Walk in the Rain," and it's an instrument. They're all instrumentals, but it's a cruising song that has a great melody that was written right after my wife and I had taken a stroll around our neighborhood and we got drenched. And I came back in the house, and I had, while we were walking, a lot of the best melodies and songs will come to a guitarist or a songwriter when they're doing the most mundane things, whether they're taking a walk or they're mowing the lawn or driving a car. Usually that's when the ideas will come to you. And that one came to me when we were actually out taking a walk in the neighborhood and it started pouring down rain on us in the middle of the walk, which is why I named it "Walk in the Rain."
Mm-hmm.
That one, that one seems to be one that people gravitated to, and that starts off the record. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my latest single is called "Our Father's Love," and that is me expressing gratitude to God, the Creator, and that the melody of that is 100% from my heart and my soul. The song I just mentioned, "This Is Goodbye," but there's one more song that's really fun on the record. It's called "San Francisco," and I named it San Francisco because I was experimenting with the bass. This SG bass right here.
Oh, wow.
And one of my favorite bass players is Jack Cassidy from Jefferson Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And the San Francisco sound of the 60s is a huge influence on me There's a band called It's a Beautiful Day. Have you ever heard of them? They do a song
Yep.
called White Bird. So obviously Grateful Dead and Carlos Santana and those San Francisco artists are great. But the Jefferson Airplane and Jack Cassidy and Yorma and David LaFlame from It's a Beautiful Day, he's a violinist. Those are
Hmm.
some of my all-time favorite musicians. And I was playing the bass, and I recorded 3 minutes of a bass solo by itself using the Audigo in front of my little Fender amp. And then I played it back, and I'm listening to the bass solo,
Hmm.
and I started overdubbing guitars in the spirit of Jefferson Airplane and David LaFlame, the way he plays the violin. Totally improvised. I had no idea. I knew I was in the key of F sharp, but I had no other idea other than that of what I was going to play. And I played 4 tracks on top of each other, improvised. And I listened back to it and I was like, wow, that came out pretty good. It was all an accident. But again, it was a way to improvising is a way to escape reality and to get away from structure and heartache. And I was in a depressed mood thinking about stuff. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and jam on the bass. And I started on the bass and I overdubbed and improvised a bunch of guitar parts very randomly. And it turned into the song that's on the album. It's called San Francisco. And
Wow.
that song there is one that I'm pretty darn proud of because of that reason. There was no plan, nothing was thought out other than just improvising and adding to one improvisation after another. So improvising on the bass, listening back and going, okay, now when I play acoustic, I can play these chords over this. And as it built up in improvisation, it turned into this thing. And at the very end of it, I started mimicking seagulls on the guitar. So there's the sound of seagulls flying over the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's why I called it San Francisco.
You know what's ironic, Frank, is that this week, Wednesday, I post my interviews on Wednesday, and I decided just on a fluke, I'm trying to roll out some of my older interviews I did because I kept all the audio from back, because back then I had to transcribe and then come out with a written version of my interviews. And one of my first few interviews, one of those guys was Sam Andrew of Big Brother and the Holding Company.
Oh,
From
yeah.
Yeah, and I was working for a tech company, and it just so happened I was going to be going to Sunnyvale for a series of meetings, and I got to go early. I drove up to San Rafael
Yeah.
and sat face to face with Sam, recorded. It came out very well. In fact, I was just writing about it today. I had this little digital recorder that I recorded it all on, and I saved the
Nice.
files. And so I'm rolling out that audio. I'm putting it to a slideshow, and it'll also be a podcast, a separate podcast. But right up there, the whole Northern California sound. I've got to interview several from that, Marty Ballin and the guys from Credence and people like that. So, man, I'm right there with you on that whole vibe, that whole feel.
Awesome,
So,
Randy. That's really cool. Yeah, Sam Andrews, man. The guitar sound on Summertime is just, oh, I just love the way he plays and the way they played.
yeah.
Um, and that it's when Janice ended up going to the other group in the New York scene that she went, it was not the same. The
No,
sound that
no,
she had with Big Brother was just so epic. Well,
no.
that's
But
cool, man. And you got to interview other San Francisco artists too, huh?
yeah, yeah. Cosmo, drummer for Credence, and
Yeah.
Skip. Oh gosh, the bass player with Credence. I've not got to interview John. That's one I would really like to as well. But
Well, I think you
Marty
probably could.
Ballin, yeah,
I
I've
think
been
you
reaching
probably
out
could. He
to him.
seems very friendly and he seems very outgoing right now. He's
Yeah,
on the road and everything.
yeah. Well, he's got a new album out of re-recording the Credence stuff now that he owns the catalog outright. They finally settled among the three of them. I interviewed his keyboardist, Bob Malone. He's a great guy. But yeah, I'd love to talk to John. And I mean, that's what I'm all about, the classic, all of that. And so,
Yeah.
but but
How about
what?
Barry the Fish Melton? You remember that guy
Oh
from
yeah,
Country
yeah.
Joe and the Fish?
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
Facebook friends with him. He was cool. And there was gosh, there was someone else I was going to mention too. And I mean, I've interviewed Cindy Santana. I haven't interviewed Carlos, but I've interviewed Cindy several times. But yeah, all that whole area, man. Each pockets of the U.S. have their own distinct sound. South Texas and with
Yeah.
Janice and the Winter Brothers and all those guys. They're just it's interesting to see how that chemistry mixes up. But
Yep. Yeah. It's interesting, different parts of the country and the contributions at different eras and time that they've brought to music,
yep,
and well, especially in the late 60s and early 70s. I mean, music was just so inventive at that time. It was so fresh and young, and there were so many new barriers being broken down, both in the South and West Coast and East Coast, all over in different areas. But
yep,
the one that really changed my life, I was very lucky to have my grandma and my mom. My mom was very young when she had me. To have their support as a young kid with playing music and getting into music. My mom took me to see the Monterey Pop Festival movie, not the actual festival. Now, I was
I
only
was
one
gonna
year
say,
old when
woo.
that happened. But she took me to see the movie, which came out in the 70s, which, okay, the festival was in 67. And I think she took me to see the movie in 76, which was, I was 10 years old, which is only about 10 years after the actual festival. And you think about how much music changed from the Summer of Love at Monterey, 1967, to the mid 70s. Music and the bands and the sounds had changed so much at that time. But
Hmm.
you put it in perspective, 10 years is like nothing when we look at it now. I mean,
Yep,
10 years ago was 2015. Seems like yesterday. It seems like a flash.
yep,
But to
yep.
think about music at that time, from when Monterey Pop Festival came out into the mid 70s, just such radical growth in the sounds and the development of guitar and music. But getting back to Monterey Pop and the San Francisco sound, and mixed in with the Mamas and Papas from LA, they had come up to put on that show, and they brought Jimi Hendrix to that festival. As a young kid, going to the theater with my mother, she took me specifically to see that movie, to see Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company in that movie, as well as Jimi Hendrix setting his guitar on fire. That changed my life. I mean, that is such a huge inspiration for a 10-year-old kid to be in a theater and seeing Jimi Hendrix doing what he did at Monterey. It was like, wow.
Wow.
Just mind-boggling.
Well, it sounds
But
like your mom was much like mine. My mom was an Elvis fan, and I have all of her 45s that she had as a teenager. She's gone now. But she allowed me, growing up in Phoenix, she allowed me in 1973 to go see Elvis in concert. And it was a big deal because
wow,
not only
yeah.
was it on a Sunday afternoon that the concert was going to be at the old Veterans Memorial Coliseum, but Frank, it was on Easter Sunday.
Oh
And
man.
church going people just didn't go see that evil rock and roll on Sundays. You might see it on Saturday night, but not on Sunday, and especially not on Easter Sunday. But she let me go, and big impact on me. I was 13, 14 years old, and I got to meet Colonel Parker because I got there way early. I was standing in
Uh-huh.
front of the stage looking at all the gear, and he walks up, and so I asked him a few questions. I tell people that was my first celebrity interview.
Yeah.
But your mom fueled your interest, and my mom did. I think that's so important. It's a lesson on parenting of how important we can impact and help feed a child's natural abilities by
Yeah.
just being supportive. And I think that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. And
So,
sharing positive things like that. And Yeah, I feel very blessed that my mom's still doing really well. In fact, we're moving her closer nearby up here up in the hills. She's
Oh,
still at my
cool.
grandma's old house in South Sacramento, out down in the bad part of town. So we are in the process. In fact, when we hang up from this podcast, I'm taking a drive over to her new place and mowing the lawn and getting it ready for her. And
All right.
very grateful to still have her there and spend as much time as you can with your pop band. That's really
That's what I'm
great. You
doing.
know, we can still have time with our parents when we can.
That's right. That's right. Well, one final question for you, because I know you got to run there, is what's on your radar now with this album coming out here in a couple weeks? What are you going to do any shows? You're going to what are you going to do in support of that? And then I'll piggyback onto that. So because fans are going to want to ask anything new from Tesla on the radar.
Well, I'm still very active with Tesla. Tesla is going to be at the Las Vegas House of Blues for 2 weeks, residency in October.
All right.
We change our set every night, spice it up a little bit, and we're still playing all the old hits. And we do have some new songs. There's a song actually called "All About Love" and another new one called "From the Heart" that we put together. It's our latest new song, and
Mhm.
on the reflections side of my guitar music, I am doing very few dates because like I said, I'm still juggling Tesla and my solo dates. I'm going to be at the Cutting Room in New York City, September 9th. I'm going to be at Daryl's house in Pawning, New York. Daryl Hall has a venue there. Just me by myself with a guitar, telling stories and playing this music from Reflections. And then I have a festival that I'm doing with Dwayne Betts, who's Dickie Betts'
Huh.
son. He's my
Mhm.
brother-in-law, and he has a festival in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, September 12th and 13th. It's called the Horseshoe Music Festival. And
Mhm.
Jackie Green will be there, another Northern California guy, friend of
Mhm.
mine. Uh, and myself and a bunch of other special guests for Dwayne Betts' Horseshoe Music Festival in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, uh, September 12th and 13th. So again, September 9th and 10th, I'm in the New York area playing Reflections. September 12th and 13th, I'm with Dwayne Betts at the Horseshoe Festival. And then I'm with Tesla in Las Vegas, Nevada at the House of Blues.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, man, I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear the rest of your record, the rest of Reflections, and I've had a lot of fun with this, Frank. Let's stay in touch, and please do me a big favor. Please pass word along to Joe English, man. I mean, that was a highlight in my life, and I still listen to. I got the CD versions of those first couple of albums that he come out with on the Christian stuff, and I love it. That was some really good stuff he did back then, and
Yes, it was. It sure was. What a phenomenal drummer and a singer. And
yeah, yeah.
he's in communication with Paul McCartney now. Last I heard, he was talking to Paul, and Paul always raves about Joe's contribution to Wings. It's just so
Hmm.
great that they're still friends after all these years. And Paul, what a nice guy. Paul McCartney sent a great voice message to my wife, Christy, when Dickie passed. He said, "Hello, Christy. This is Uncle Paul calling, and I'm so sorry to hear about Dickie." And, you know, for Paul McCartney to take time out of his day to do that, I mean, gosh, we were in tears over that.
That's
So I will
class,
pass
man.
your message, Randy, to Joe, and I will pass that along. And thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, well, let's stay in touch. My email address, don't quote yours on here because I don't want fans bugging you, but mine's real easy, randy@boomerocity.com. Drop me a line and we'll stay in touch. I won't bug you with stuff, but if there's anything cool coming on or you've got something you want to get a special word out, let's get up on one of these and we'll make that happen, okay?
Sounds great, Randy. And I will get back to you because it sounds to me like you haven't heard the rest of my record. And I really
No.
want you to hear San Francisco after I give you that whole San Francisco
Yeah, I want
scene.
to hear that. That sounds really cool. So,
I'll get that sent to you today.
all right, sounds good, man. All right,
Okay.
stay safe.
Peace out. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye bye. This has been another fun filled episode of Boomerocity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song
is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quinton Hope. Quinton is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quinton at quintonhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and/or its assignees. Inquiry should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.